Okay, we can start. Why Kabbalah? In other words, what do we need it for? What's the purpose of it? It would seem to be that there's a lot of wisdom in the world, particularly the wisdom of the Torah. What do we need Kabbalah for? That's the question. Now, of course, there's an answer. It's not. I'm not going to leave you hanging. I hope. But let's try and figure out what the reason was for, what the reason is for the revelation of Kabbalistic knowledge. So, there are actually a number of answers to this question, and all of them are correct. But they go in ascending order. So the first answer of why Kabbalah is that Kabbalah gives us the possibility of knowledge of the Creator and the creation. That although we have Torah, we have the teachings, the biblical teachings, and then the rabbinic teachings that follow that. The truth is that the biblical teachings are very, in many ways, although there's obviously sort of a storyline and there are specific commandments, and those can be understood without having to come to Kabbalah. But obviously there are, it's very clear to anyone who learns Torah, who learns the Bible and the various stories of the Bible and also the commandments, there's a deeper level as well. Not just simply telling the history of events, what happened. Why are we telling those events? What's behind it? Why do those events take place in the first place? So the first answer is that this comes to give us knowledge of the Creator and His creation. That without the insights of Kabbalistic knowledge, we would have a certain amount of knowledge. We can have scientific knowledge of creation, but that scientific knowledge of creation is based on experiment and based on determining certain facts about the creation, but a tremendous amount would be left out. What would be left out? Although we may have scientific knowledge of it, one of the things that we can't know for scientific reasons is, why is it there in the first place? What science can answer is what something is and how it came to be there to a certain extent, up to a certain limit. But why it's there, the scientists can't answer. It's not even a scientific question. It's not a question they can answer. It's not a question they even delve into. More philosophical question, perhaps. Now, so we might think that the main purpose of Kabbalah is to give us knowledge of the creation, and via the creation, knowledge of the Creator. And that's not incorrect completely. It's not incorrect. It's just not the whole story. It's true that we are lacking in knowledge. Now, part of knowledge is experience. Initially, when man was created, when Adam was created, so his knowledge of the Creator was not just sort of book knowledge or knowledge that he'd worked out by deduction from the creation he saw around him. He had intimate knowledge of the Creator. They spoke face to face, so to speak. But then the knowledge was misused. The knowledge was misused by partaking of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and that knowledge became tainted. First of all, it was incomplete, and it became tainted. So you could possibly say that what Kabbalah comes to do is to present us with the other side of, or the inner dimension of, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. In other words, it presents us with the tree of life, what is called the tree of life, Eitz HaChaim. And in fact, that is one of the kinuyim, how do you say kinuyim? One of the nicknames. One of the nicknames of Kabbalah is that it is the knowledge of Eitz HaChaim, the tree of life, as opposed to the tree of knowledge of good and evil. The tree of knowledge of good and evil is attainable through, or possibly, or partially attainable at least, through science, through inquiry, through philosophy. But the tree of life is not something that's attainable through philosophy or through scientific inquiry. It has to be given. It has to be given to us. And in fact, the main Kabbalistic work of Rabbi Yitzhak Luria, the father of modern Kabbalah, 1500s, is called Eitz Chaim, the tree of life, because the Kabbalah is, in a sense, the tree of life. It's the other side, it's the inner dimension of creation. It's what creation is all about. It's not so much only how it happened, but why did it happen in this particular way? Why is the creator the way? Why is the creation the way it is? And from that, we come to understand, so to speak, the mind of the creator. So that's one possible answer to the question, why Kabbalah? Because Kabbalah comes to give us an inner dimensional knowledge of the creation and thus the creator. And it is knowledge which is about the truth. It's not just a description. It's knowledge of the truth of how things really happened. So that's one answer. Not incorrect, but not complete. A second answer that's given is that this knowledge was granted, this knowledge was given in order to be able to not merely understand the creation and the creator via the creation, but it was given in order to influence or in order to reframe or to, in a sense, change the creation, change it in the sense of aligning the creation with the will of the creator. Aligning the creation with the will of the creator. So that's another aspect of Kabbalah, that Kabbalah teaches. There's methodologies in Kabbalah of rectifying things that have sort of become bent out of shape through incorrect action, through incorrect thought, through incorrect behavior, through deliberate or mistaken ideas and acts. So the change or the influence of creation to align creation with the will of the creator is definitely a goal of Kabbalah. In order to be able to do that, there has to be a certain interaction that goes on between the human being, between us and the creation, in such a way that we are able to change things for the good or direct things towards the good. So that's a second possibility, to align the creation with the will of the creator. That's a second reason that the Kabbalah was given to us. Now, you could ask the question, and it's a legitimate question, well, doesn't the entire Torah do that? Yes, the entire Torah does that, but it does it in a sort of an unconscious way. You don't necessarily know what you're doing. And if you don't really know what you're doing, you don't know how it's working and therefore how to fine-tune things to align exactly in the right way with the Creator. It's not just, in other words, if one just takes upon oneself merely the actions, of course, that's the good thing and that's the primary thing. The mitzvot, the commandments of the Torah are the primary thing. However, by having the right kavanot, the right intentions. The word kavanah in Hebrew means intention. It also means direction. Right? Kivun darom means in the direction of the south. Kivun tzafon, north. Right? In other words, in order to be able to direct things in the right kind of way, one has to understand what one is doing, and therefore Kabbalah was revealed so that we would be able to come to a deeper and greater understanding of what it is that we're doing when we're doing things. So that's a second explanation. A third explanation is that the Kabbalah has been given to mankind, has been given to us, to change ourselves. Not so much to change the world, but to change ourselves, because when we change ourselves, we change the world as well. But this change is not a superficial change. There are changes that we can make superficially. We can control our behaviors to act in a certain way. We can control our thoughts to think in a certain way. We can control our speech and various other of our faculties. But all of these things are not who we are. It's what we do. Of course, we can change what we do. That possibility is given to every person. But the ultimate purpose is not just to change what we do, but essentially to change what we are. To change what we are. In other words, to be able to change ourselves in such a way that we reveal the inner essence rather than merely focus on the outer layers or the superficial layers of the person. We align the inner essence of ourselves with the inner essence of God, the Holy One, blessed be He. And that is what the final answer that Kabbalah is given to uncover the essential character of a person, the essential core of a person, and align that core with his function and purpose in a person's function and purpose in the world, his or her, and ultimately with the will and wisdom of God. And that's what Kabbalah comes to do. Now, there are three movements in Kabbalah, or three stages of development of Kabbalah that we've spoken about before. These correspond to these three different types of, these three different explanations of the necessity or the need for Kabbalah. So the three stages of Kabbalah are developmental, interactive, and residing within the divine presence. Now, let me explain what I mean. The first focus of Kabbalah, which was really from the time of the Zohar until the 1500s, until the time of Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, the main focus of Kabbalah was clarifying the process of creation. How did it actually come about? How did the world come to be the way it is? How are things the way they are? And why is it that they are the way they are? What happened? What were the supporting events, so to speak, which made the world the way it is and therefore give us certain functions and duties and responsibilities in the world? That corresponds, as I said before, to knowledge of the creation. It explains what the creation is all about and what it's for, why things are the way that they are, and what we have to do about them. This was a whole very long period of time, from the time of the Zohar, which was 2nd century, until mid-16th century. So it was a very, very long time, 1400 years. The focus was on understanding these ideas. The developmental or the scientific, I suppose you could call it, not just historical, but the inner workings of creation. That is called, again, hishtalshelut, from the word shalshelet, which is a chain. It's a chain of causes and effects that brought the worlds into existence the way they are now, and give us an inkling as to what it is that we're supposed to be doing with this world in which we find ourselves. From the time of the Arizal onwards, he revealed a deeper aspect of Kabbalah, and that aspect of Kabbalah is called hitlavshut. Hitlavshut means literally enclothing, but it's the interaction of various sfirot or clusters of sfirot, various divine emanations or clusters of divine emanations called partsufim, literally visages, and how they interact with each other and the impact they have on each other, and how to direct lower ones according to higher ones, and to elicit the influence or the shefa of higher worlds and bring it into lower worlds by a process of making the lower worlds or the lower levels appropriate vessels for revelation from higher worlds. And the interactions that go on, these descriptions of the interactions are very much an integral part of the teachings of Rabbi Yitzhak Luria of the Arizal, Hitlavshut. The third stage of development, his name, Arizal, yeah, I'll write it in the chat. Arizal. Is that the one you were asking about? I don't know. The other one was the Ramak. The Ramak is Rabbi Moshe Cordovero. 1 second. Rabbi Moshe Cordovero. Right? He preceded, that was the first, he summed up the whole early period of Kabbalah. The Arizal developed this new interactive aspect until finally the third stage was the stage which was revealed by the Baal Shem Tov, by the Baal Shem Tov. Right, so again, the middle one was the first stage. The second stage was the Arizal, and the third stage was the Baal Shem Tov. Okay, so the Baal Shem Tov, what did the Baal Shem Tov do? The Baal Shem Tov spoke about how this world essentially is enveloped and imbued with, and enveloped by godliness all the time, with which we can have a relationship, contact. We can contact the godliness that there is within the world, or we can experience the residing within godliness that is spoken about in his teachings. That has to do with the ability to change ourselves, not change the world, but change ourselves and align ourselves with the spirituality which is invested not only in creation, but the spirituality which is invested in the Torah, in the teachings of the Torah, and which is invested in our very own souls. So ultimately, the third path, the path of the Baal Shem Tov, is to make an essential change in ourselves. What's the essential change? The essential change is discovering the essence of who we are and the essence of what we are here for, what we're here for as individuals. So that is all the concept of Hashra'ah, the indwelling and the indwelling of godliness within us, and the enveloping of all of creation within God. And that is what the ultimate purpose of Kabbalah is, to reveal all of these three things. Therefore, when a person first starts learning Kabbalah, the first stage of learning Kabbalah is to find out about the cause and effect process which brought about the creation of the worlds the way they are, the creation of the various planes of reality which are called the worlds of Atzilut, Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya, and beyond the world of Atzilut as well. The highest world that we generally deal with is called Atzilut. The next world down is called Bria, the world of creation, the world of emanation, the world of creation, the world of formation, Yetzira, and the world of action, Asiya. So all of those four worlds, all four planes of existence, how they developed one from another, from higher to lower, because they don't develop. Evolution talks about how things develop from below to above, right? From lower form life forms to higher life forms. With Kabbalah looks at it exactly the opposite way. Everything developed from a higher life form to a lower life form, higher planes of reality to lower planes of reality. In other words, the higher planes of reality produced a lower plane of reality, and then that produced an even lower plane, and then an even lower plane of reality. Of course, all guided or brought into reality, brought into being by the hand of God, so to speak. But nevertheless, that's the way it was. Not evolution from lower to higher, but devolution from higher to lower, from the higher worlds to the lower worlds. So the first aspect of Kabbalistic study is to understand the static diagram of how things developed. Perhaps static is the wrong word, but it's a historical thing of what happened in the past. It's historical analysis of what happened in the past to bring the world to the way it is today. Now, of course, it's not an examination of history, it's an examination of metaphysics, that which transcends physics, the inner dimensions, the inner working of creation. So that's the first stage of learning Kabbalah. It's to come to knowledge of how the creation came to be. The second stage of learning Kabbalah is learning the methods by which we align the world around us with the will of the Creator. In some cases align, in some cases, let's say, realign, because just to get it back to where it was in its normal, natural, healthy state sometimes takes a lot of work also. So the second stage of learning Kabbalah is therefore aligning the world with the will of the Creator. And the methods that are used, the various meditations and kavanot. Again, the word kavanah means an alignment, and a direction. It gives things direction. Without Kabbalah, without the Torah in general, without Kabbalah in particular, a lot of what we do would not have direction. It wouldn't be focused in the way that it is. It wouldn't have kivun. It wouldn't have direction. It wouldn't be aligned in the right way. And the final stage of development of Kabbalah, and the final stage of study of Kabbalah, is really how do we change ourselves, not how we align the world outside of ourselves, but how we align our inner selves with the purpose of our own being here in the world. How we reveal the essence of the person so that the essence of the person aligns with the will and the wisdom of the Creator. That's the final stage of Kabbalistic study. Now, generally, the first stage can be studied mostly from books. The second stage requires more than just books. The third stage requires essentially being with a master. It's not something that can be written in books. It's not something that that can be easily accessed by reading material. It's something that needs to be accessed by experience and being with a master of the Kabbalah, being with a Kabbalist, someone who really knows what it's all about. And those are the stages of explanation of why we need Kabbalah and what it's all about, why we actually study it. So we'll keep it short for tonight. That's it. But if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.